Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching A Healthy Alternative. Today we've got an amazing treat as I have invited the lovely Tiffany to come and do an interview. We're going to be talking about water fasting. So, guys, you have been hitting me up like non-stop, asking me, do I have any friends, any female friends that have been doing fasting? Can you interview them? And Tiffany has actually been pretty active on the group. She did do a little vlog or whatever going over her fasting experience. But for those that either aren't on the group or didn't see that, we're gonna do a long, in-depth situation. And we're gonna find out what happened with Tiffany, and also, if I'm not mistaken, you've done juice fasting as well as water fasting, and you've been doing some playing around with a raw food diet and things of that nature. So we're gonna get into all of that today, so stay tuned. So the first question would be, what made you want to try fasting to begin with? I know you started with juice fasting, right? So what was your inspiration for starting juice fasting?
Okay, I got a question. I'm sorry.
Do you remember the question?
Yeah. No, I don't remember the question.
Okay. So, the question was, What inspired you to start fasting or wanna, I guess it's getting control of your health?
Okay. You know what? I was tired of going to doctors and getting prescribed medicines for issues, and they couldn't tell me the origin of the issue. So a few of the things that I was dealing with was I would get headaches, horrible headaches. I had eczema all on my back. So of course for the headaches, pain meds, I literally carried around a bottle of ibuprofen in my purse 24/7 because I don't do pain. The eczema, I was buying creams, I was getting prescribed creams to put on my back. Also, I had sleep issues, so I could fall asleep in the middle of a highway if I had a pillow.
Wow.
Like I was always drowsy. I'm a dental hygienist, and so I would go to sleep in my car during lunch, and they'd literally have to knock on the window, like, "Hey, your patient's ready." So I had done a sleep study to see if I had sleep apnea, and I didn't, and they wanted me to do another study to see if I had narcolepsy, because I could fall asleep anytime. I just didn't have the energy. My energy levels were super low. Also, I had endometriosis, in which, if you don't know what that is, pretty much the lining of the uterus once a month. The cells create a lot of blood vessels and blood for the egg. We're looking at you.
I don't know, you're looking at me like.
And what happens is those cells grow outside of the uterus, and so those cells can be on the bladder, they can be on the outside of the uterus, or anywhere in that abdominal area. So once a month, those cells would create that same lining that you're supposed to get inside your uterus, and it would just create cysts. It would make my menstrual cycles very painful, and just horrible. I was moody, I was mean, I was emotional during my menstrual cycles, and so I was trying to find something to fix that. And going to the doctors for all of this stuff, I'm like, man, I'm a normal person. Like, there isn't a reason why I should have all these issues. I should have to take all these meds.
Right.
And so and then I was getting seasonal allergies as an adult. And it was so bad that I thought I was gonna have to go to an allergist. And I'm just like, what is going on? So the first thing that I looked into was gluten and dairy, because I had heard dairy, if you have an intolerance, then your immune system's kind of weakened when you take the dairy, and you're more susceptible to seasonal allergies. So I actually got rid of dairy and gluten at the same time. I don't have celiac disease or anything like that, but immediately I felt better. I had more energy. The seasonal allergies have gone. And literally when I slip up and I do ice cream or I do a dairy product, I immediately get congested. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so seasonal allergies immediately went away. So I'm like, oh man, there's something to this.
Right.
And so I started looking into cleanses, and I wanted to do a cleanse. And one of the best cleanses I saw, Dr. Tancredi, he is a big advocate of juice cleansing. And so I bought a really expensive juicer, and I started, I just committed, and I started doing a juice fast that would help me do a liver and gallbladder cleanse. And from that, I got so much energy. My eczema went away. I was doing coffee and tea every morning. I replaced that with a green juice, and I was good. I mean, immediately. And so from there, it just started my health journey, and just trying to find other ways that I can, allow my body to work optimally. So.
Excellent. So essentially, it's pretty much the same for me. Like, I had these little issues going on, not nearly as bad as you, but you just decided to take control of your own health, because the doctors, they just, I don't hate doctors. And I love what they're trying to do, which is to, heal people. The problem is that I feel like the methodology is wrong. And oftentimes, I was talking to one of my friends at work who has allergies for everything. He's like allergic to all food. So he can't, he cut out gluten, and he cut out a few other things. I don't like everything. And he was like, yeah, I feel so much better. He had a lot of energy problems and things of that nature. And the eczema, I think that's pretty significant. So was it the juice fasting? That's when you started to see these differences, and with the eczema, you hadn't, the only thing that you really changed was the dairy and the gluten. And then you just started doing the juice fasts and the cleanses and stuff like that, but you were eating pretty much regularly.
Right, yeah, it was a lot of meat and potatoes, so like vegetables and meat is pretty much what I stuck with. And then I would dabble into gluten-free products. And if you've tried those things, a lot of them have a lot of sodium, and they just don't taste that great. A lot of freezer foods. And so it was just, really hearty meat and potatoes, vegetables, and stuff like that.
It's funny, I remember when we very first met, you told me about because I think I had mentioned that around Christmas time or summertime, I get congested.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was. I had never attributed it to allergies, because it didn't seem like an allergy, but I just knew something was up. Every year it would just be like an itchy throat type thing, and maybe a stuffy nose. And you were like, yeah, it might be dairy. So I was like, all right, fine. Let's cut the dairy out. So I stopped drinking regular milk. I think I started buying almond milk, and I used to buy a half gallon of ice cream once a week. It was on my grocery list. I stopped doing that, and I immediately started seeing the differences. I wasn't as congested as often, and then as the year progressed, I didn't get my yearly deal. So,
that's awesome.
And at the time, I think that was the only thing I was doing.
Yeah.
This was 3-4 years ago, probably. So this was way before my fasting and all that stuff. But anyway, all right, so let's talk about your experience while you were juice fasting. Was it easy? Did you enjoy it? Did you see, anything major, anything, that you could think of?
So the juice fast that I was doing required a lot of celery and carrot juice. And so at the time, I wasn't so hip to glucose levels and stuff like that. And I think the general idea is stay away from fruits because you can't do too much sugar, you know? And so I really, at the time, it was kind of difficult because I was trying to do vegetables and kale and spinach and trying to stay away from fruits just because I didn't know any better.
Right.
And so now I look back and I'm like, you fool, you had apple juice and you would have been great, But that comes with experience and learning. So I did notice that, sometimes I'd just be holding my nose and taking the juice back. But for the most part, I remember the first time I did it, even with juice fasting, it was an issue with the bowel movements, which was kind of weird. And so, don't know if this is TMI, but I was doing enemas as well to help. And so during my juice fast, I was doing that just because I was freaking out. I'm not pooping. What's happening? But once again, you live and you learn, and so I understand that's normal. That's kind of part of the cleansing process, and it comes eventually.
It does come. I usually see them around 10 days.
Really?
It takes me a while too. I'll have one early, and then I might have one around 5 days, maybe sometimes, but by 10 days,
Yeah, that's the longest I've ever juice fast is 10 days.
Okay.
I haven't gone past that. But you get to a point, and it's always, I talked about this on the page, that third day, even with juice fasting, water fasting, juice fasting, that third day is just oh, why am I alive? Why am I doing this? You're an idiot. But once you get past that, it's smooth sailing. It was almost, for me, it was very euphoric. I felt like I was writing more. I had so many great ideas and I saw the world differently that I was writing stuff down. I was just so inspired and just happy, you know, just feeling good. And it for no other reason, just because I was doing something good for myself. I knew that I was taking my health in my own hands.
That's good. Yeah. What about weight loss? Because a lot of people are interested in weight loss, and my whole thing is health, right? But everybody wants to know about weight loss. So, what type of weight loss did you see? Did you monitor it?
Yeah. So for the past couple years, I was doing this liver gallbladder cleanse using the juice fasting every 6 months. And it's a total of 8 days, so 3 prep days and then 5 days of nothing but juice. And I would lose a pound a day.
Okay.
So every time that I would do that cleanse, it would be 8 pounds.
Which is interesting because that coincides with what I've been seeing from other people. When they talk about juice fasting, it's usually a pound a day.
Yeah.
So, all right, you did the juice fast. You pretty much loved it, I guess. But I'm assuming that you still had some issues, right? Because I know we were talking maybe 2 years ago, a year or whatever, when I very first started doing Kyani.
Yeah.
So I know you were still having some issues, or maybe you weren't juice fasting often enough. So you decided to make some other changes. So before you got to the water fasting, what were some of the other changes? Let's talk about your experience with Kyani, because I know me and John, we talked about Kyani a little bit, but like, did you notice anything while you were taking it?
No.
No?
I didn't. Okay, so I'm sorry if there's any Kyani representatives out there, but so because of having my menstrual cycle for so long and knowing the horrible symptoms I had, so what happened with the endometriosis, is back up a little bit, is I ended up having my left ovary and my left fallopian tube removed because of the cyst. And after that, they put me on a Lupron shot that tricked my body into going into menopause. And then the doctor said, take birth control pills for every day for the rest of your life until you're ready to get pregnant.
Wow.
Skip the brown pills so that you never get a period, so that I never get those cysts again.
Right.
So out of pure fear of having that pain, having the emotion, either emotional breakdowns, having just horrible periods, it didn't matter what healthy thing I was doing, I took those pills. Like, and even when I didn't have insurance, I was paying $200 to get these pills because I was just so like, nothing, I wasn't willing to experiment with that.
Right.
I was so scared that I was gonna get the cysts and have the surgeries and have to go through that and the pain that I didn't experiment with that until recently, which I guess we'll get into, but I took those pills religiously every day. So whether I'm fasting or whatever, I just took them, so I never got a period.
All right, so after that, then you moved on to some diet changes, right? Because I know you were doing, like the gluten-free, but I feel like you were slowly evolving at some point, and you were like changing your diet up. So where'd you land with your diet? Like, what did you?
Well, I always stuck with the gluten-free. My biggest issue was it's like yo-yoing. So every 6 months when I knew I was about to do my cleanse, I would start eating horribly, you know? And I think I talked to you about this, like I could never stick with it. It's just one night I just wake up and I have pizza boxes and ice cream cartons around me, and I'm like, did I blank out? And it's like I would have these cravings, these horrible cravings. And so that was always something that, because I want to create a lifestyle, you know, that I could stick with, and something that was easy and something that, you know, included food that I loved, which I'm a Ninja Turtle. I love pizza, and of course we both love ice cream. Yeah. And so
pizza and ice cream.
Man,
there's something. The devil is in pizza and ice cream.
No, this is the government. It's the government.
It's a conspiracy,
right?
For real. Because there's something about pizza, man. People love pizza.
Love pizza. And so that's what I always struggled with. Even with the juice fasting, even with the gluten-free and the dairy-free, I was just trying to look for substitutes, you know, ice cream without dairy or whatever, which would just lead to me getting dairy ice cream. Like, oh, this isn't good. I'm gonna get the Bluebells.
Let's get the real stuff.
Right. So that had always been my issue, and that's when you kind of come in and you're just like, Tiffany, you need to water fast. And yo, you can ask her. I was just like, no, I'm not water fasting. That's the dumbest thing ever. I kid y'all not, no offense. But I was just like, no, I'm good. I cut out gluten, I cut out dairy. My life is hard enough. I'm not, just doing water. And I was like dead set on it. I was like, no water fast. Yeah. But I think I was telling you one day that I just kept, going back to my bad eating habits, and you were just like, hey, you were telling me your experience about, how you have these emotional connections with the food, and your water fasting can help break that and help you get more control over those cravings. So I'm like, nah. Even then I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. But I had gotten to a point where it was time for my juice fast, and I just didn't want to do it. Like I just kept putting it off and was like, no. And I was eating really, really bad. So I was like, okay, somehow we had started talking about it, and you were like, just do a 3-day fast. And I'm like, it's just 3 days. I can do it. I can do 3 days. And so that leads us to my first water fast experience, which didn't go well.
Didn't go well. Okay, so, all right, guys, hold on to your pants. We're gonna talk about this first water fast. This is the moment you guys have been waiting for. But I wanted to talk about some of the other things you did leading up to it. I think it's good to be relatable, and I'm sure there's other people out there that are going through a similar journey where you start off with juice fasting or changing a little bit of diet here and there, and then eventually get into water fasting. And I think at the end of the day, it's like everybody has their journey. It took me a year to get to my where I eat now, my eating habits. And that's fine, but I guess at the end of the day, I want people to know, like, it's safe to water fast, but especially with Tiffany's experience on her first water fast, you guys are gonna get to hear why a lot of people are like, nah, water fast is bad for you, like it's scary, it's crazy. So, what happened in your first 3-day water fast?
Okay, so I think that I'm a very, determined person. When I set my mind to something, I can just do it. So I just jumped right in. I was like, I'm a water fast. I didn't prep. I didn't do nothing, y'all. Like, I might have eaten Chinese food the day before.
That's the MSG.
Yeah, and I just woke up the next day and like, I'm a water fast. I had, me and Chris have had debates about distilled water. He's all about distilled water. I am not. Leave a comment if you ever want to see us go head to head about that, because I'm still not on the whole distilled water thing. But anyways, so I got all this distilled water and I was gonna do this. And so the first day wasn't that bad. Now this was in the summer, so we're in Texas. It's like 100-degree weather, and I was pumped. It was like I think it was a Saturday. So I had the day off. It was hot. I was running errands. For some reason, I decided to take my dog to the dog park and was running around with him. I was like, this is gonna be a breeze. This is gonna be a breeze, like I'm gonna kill this.
Yeah.
And did too much. I did way too much. Or did it start Friday? Maybe it started Friday. I don't remember. But let's talk about Sunday. I know Saturday I did way too much. I was running around, I was in the heat, I was drinking the water. I don't think I was drinking enough water at all though. I was just all over the place. Come Sunday morning, and I take this back. I think I started Friday night. And then Saturday I did too much. And then Sunday morning, guys. Oh, Saturday, and I don't know, this might be interesting as well. So I'm into crystal healing, and I believe really strongly about the energies that crystals offer. And so Saturday I went to the metaphysical store, and I was like, I need a crystal that's gonna help me break my connection to food, and I want something powerful, and whatever. So he gave me this, I got 2 fluorite crystals that I wore on my neck and on my hand. And just, spent time meditating with that and really putting energy into making sure that I could break every, emotional connection I had to food. So I was focused on it. That was my goal. And I woke up the next morning, y'all, and I threw my legs on the side of the bed and I was shaking. I was literally shaking. And I was like, my bathroom or, my toilet is like maybe 6 feet away. And by the time I got to my toilet, I was leaning over. I was like leaning over on the bathtub. Just like, oh my God, like I had no energy. I was so listless. I felt like the room was kind of spinning. And so I'm sitting on the toilet like, you gotta get up. Like you gotta do something today. But I was so out of it, and I was like, do I need to take ibuprofen? Like, what is wrong? I still can't really tell you what was wrong, but I couldn't walk to the kitchen because I was like, okay, you gotta eat something. Like, that was my first instinct, was like, you need food. So I crawled to the kitchen, guys. I literally crawled to the kitchen, somehow put a pan on the stove, cracked open an egg, fried that on my knees, and ate that, and called Chris immediately.
She called me and was like, Chris, I just crawled to the bathroom, I crawled to the kitchen, like, I am so, like, she was so, I thought she was exaggerating, like, honestly. And I'm like, man, like, I've never known anyone to have this bad of a detox this early on. Because usually you get really, really bad detoxes like day 12 to 14, 15, somewhere around there. But I was just like, I don't know. I just, and she was like, I'm never doing this again.
Oh.
Like, I'm never doing
Never. And Chris was like, come on, you can do it, you can do it. No, this is the worst. And like I said, I've done difficult, challenging things before. I've done juice fasts, I've done cleanses, and I don't even think you knew I had started. And I was like, I'm not even gonna tell Chris until I finish, until I'm done. And be like, yeah, I beasted it, and whatever. Yeah. But I was just like, heck no. And so at that time, your page was like getting all big and stuff like that, and you had I couldn't. I was just, at that point, I was just like, there's no way. So I went back that day. I think that day I might have had just a little bit of food, not a lot, but I went back to eating the way I was.
Right.
Like, I totally went back to just
crash and burn.
Whoa. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. I wish I had more of a scientific definition of what happened to me, but I had never felt that way before, not even with the juice fasting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing, and I try to keep things very layman's terms on my videos. I know you guys have probably picked up on that. It's one of the things that a lot of people are like, man, we love how simple it is and how easy the information is to digest. So I really don't like getting into like scientific terminology, and I think it's just confusing and it's unnecessary. But from my understanding, essentially what's happening is, when you start detoxing, everything that you have put in your body that would make you feel crappy, and when you eat it or when you shoot it up, whatever it's a shot or a pill or whatever, when it comes out of you, you experience this thing at the same way. So cravings for food, tremors, sweats, headaches, whatever it is. I mean, all this stuff's all poison. So it's going to affect you in some way. And when you fast, it's all coming out and at the same time. Mm-hmm. So if you don't prep, if you do no prep work, then you can get these really, really harsh detox symptoms. And it's one of the things that makes people think fasting is unsafe. Because of course, you stop eating, you feel like that after a couple of days, you're crawling on the floor. You're gonna be like, fasting is dangerous and you should never do it, right? So that's why, educating yourself about fasting prior to fasting is so important. And prepping, I mean, you can muscle through it. There's nothing wrong with it. You wouldn't have died, but it's really hard. It's hard enough as it is. For me, like my fasting, I'm pretty good with the mental stuff. So, and everybody has their strong suits. The mental stuff doesn't bother me as much. The only time I broke my fast is when I was physically broken down, kind of like what you were. And I got that at like day 12 or 13 or whatever it was. And I could not recoup my energy, and I didn't have as much knowledge as I have now, and I didn't have anyone coaching me. So I was like, yo, I need to eat. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you guys got to do what you got to do, to function. Like, she probably couldn't have gone to work that way. So I can understand that, but there's ways to mitigate it. We don't have to just say no fasting. We could do some prep work. We can do juice fasting, which is a little bit lighter, as Tiffany has talked about. So that's not a good excuse to not fast, and this is not to you.
You chastising me?
No, I'm not chastising. I'm just saying, there's people out there that are like, that's why I don't fast, but it's not a good reason not to fast. We just have to, you maybe look at a better way to prep so that you don't get all those detox symptoms all at one time.
Right.
So the first fast was terrible. it's actually really good because when you experience that, you know your body is doing some work.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's painful, it's terrible, but it is also good. You know your body's working. What did you do now? Did you start doing the raw food before or after that fast? I can't remember.
Before.
Okay.
So the leading up to my second water fast experience, Chris hit me up again, and I don't know how we got into this conversation, but I was switching jobs. I was leaving one job and going to another job, and I was telling him that the worst part was that I was going to lose my medical insurance. Now, but before then, he had sent me videos, because of course he knows all about my menstrual cycles for whatever reason.
Tell me everything.
And so he had sent me videos about this man who believes that menstrual cycles are unnatural, and that the reason that the body is getting rid of the blood is because it's unclean, and it's unclean because of what we're eating. And that if we were eating natural raw fruits and vegetables, then our body would just reabsorb that blood. Now, and I've heard this before, I've heard the idea of reabsorbing the blood from my physicians, because I would sometimes be on my period or start my period, and they're just like, oh, take your birth control pills. And in the middle of my period, I just start taking them again because I might have forgot a day or something. And I'm like, what happened to all that blood? And they're like, oh, it just gets reabsorbed, you know, whatever. Because immediately my periods would stop once I started taking the birth control pills again. And so I had heard of that concept, but once again, I always meet this guy with skepticism.
Always!
And I'm like, I never believe him first off.
Like for nothing.
So I'm just like, man, nah, man, that's dumb
That's
or whatever.
dumb.
So he was sending me the videos, but then I was telling him that I was losing my insurance. I was about to have to go back to paying $200 for these birth control pills, which I was gonna do because I'm scared of my period. And he was like, Tiff, like, just try going raw vegan. Like it won't hurt anything just to see how it goes or whatever. So at this point, I didn't have anything to lose, and I just thought it was cool. You know, I was like, once again, no prep, just kind of jumped in. So when I first started doing the raw vegan, of course it was the summer, so we had all these delicious fruits and vegetables, but I was doing like tons of, I was doing watermelon. What else was I doing? I was doing lots of peanut butter, lots of avocados, lots of
And
nuts.
you started your garden, right? Or did you?
Had I then? Yeah, I think I had started it. And I had planted a few things. A couple things made it, a couple things didn't. This is all an experiment, but I was like, yo, I can do this. And initially when I started the raw vegan diet, I kind of struggled because my energy levels were really low, and I was just like, this is not adding up. You know, like I'm eating nothing but raw fruits and vegetables, but for some reason my energy levels are super low. Oh, mind you, how did I even forget this? Okay, so when I don't take my birth control pills, my period rushes back like a dam has been lifted. Like it's just, and so I immediately started the raw vegan, and I didn't get my period did not rush back. I think I had stopped my pills that ran out, and I was already doing the raw vegan for like a week or so.
Yeah.
I might have spotted just a little bit, but it wasn't like the full-fledged, like, you know, fear of God menstrual cycle. And so I was sold. I was just like, yes. Oh my God. Like, you don't even understand it's life-changing. It's literally life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and you know, there's no other man in my life I have talked about my menstrual cycle more than Chris. Just texting, like, I didn't get a period. And so from there, I was like sold. I was like, okay. And I bought a dehydrator. I was dehydrating foods. I was doing a lot of smoothies with like cacao powder, and I was going hard on that dehydrator, and loved it. I mean, just absolutely loved it. And then one morning, and I don't know how graphic y'all want to get, but one morning I woke up and I was like, did I pee on myself? That's what I swear to God, that's what I thought. And I went to the bathroom and realized my period started. But guys, let me tell you, guys and ladies, at least a week and a half, 2 weeks leading up to my period, I'm moody, I am in pain, I'm cramping, I'm popping ibuprofen every single day. I'm bloated. I feel like, my stomach is out to here. I'm craving all types of horrible foods. I'm like eating chocolate and everything. I know when my period's about to come.
Right.
So the simple fact that I had no idea and then it surprised me and took me by surprise, man, that morning.
Yeah.
I text Chris.
Yeah.
I started my period, but I had no idea. I just looked at the toilet in surprise. Like
Surprise!
it was crazy. And I wasn't happy, but I was just like, literally, I sat in the bathroom for like 10 minutes, just really thinking back over the past week and a half. Like, I had no symptoms whatsoever. And so I was like, okay, this is gonna be my life. Like, honestly,
Right.
if I can have menstrual cycles without those symptoms, without having to deal with the pain and the emotional stress that it brings, I'm gonna stick with this lifestyle.
Right.
And so I tried to kind of figure it, because I had, done more research, followed a couple of raw vegans online, and they had kind of said the same thing about their menstrual cycles going away. So I'm like, well, maybe I messed up, and so I started over and I kind of cut everything out. I stopped doing seasonings. I wasn't using my dehydrator as much. I cut out the cacao powder. I went strictly fruits and vegetables. But also, to get back to the energy level, I realized I wasn't eating enough. And so because fruits and vegetables are less calories, you have to eat more to keep your energy up, which I think we had a conversation. You were like, oh, you shouldn't have to eat that much more. But in my experience, I had to eat more in order to maintain, And that was weird for me because, growing up, fruits and vegetables was a treat. That was like dessert. That was something special. You gave apples and oranges during Christmas and Thanksgiving. And so we didn't just keep a lot of fruit in the house. I had two brothers and they're like garbage disposals. And so if there was anything sweet in the house, it was gone. And so having to stock up and having just a table full of apples and oranges and having like 5 watermelons and just sitting there and eating until I was full was something new for me. But once I got the hang of it, I loved it. What got me was I went on vacation and I didn't prepare. I had no idea. I was like, oh yeah, when we go to the hotel, I'm gonna buy all this fruit and stuff like that. Ain't nobody thinking about that when you go out of town. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna eat vegan. I'm just gonna do vegan while I'm there. And vegan food, just because you're vegan does not mean you're healthy. I had like French fries. I was eating Chinese food without the shrimp and the chicken.
Yeah.
And when I got back, it was just hard to bounce back. It was just difficult because before I left, I cleared out. So it's not even like I came home to lots of fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want anything to spoil. And I should have done that. I should have frozen my meals or whatever, but I didn't. And so I came back, crashed and burned, story of my life, like I always do.
We got it in this cycle.
Exactly. So, but I was so committed. I am committed to being raw vegan and to healing my endometriosis and getting rid of that I was like, I gotta do something. Like, I gotta do something.
All right. There's a couple things I wanted to touch on. When you mentioned about your energy levels being low, when you start eating raw fruits and vegetables, or just when you start eating healthier in general, the same processes start to take place in your body as if you were fasting. So what happens is your body starts detoxing. Because the thing is, your body is constantly moving towards that state of, what do they call it, homeostasis. It wants to be alkaline, it wants to be healthy. So as soon as you stop feeding it garbage, poison, whatever, toxins, and it gets a chance to start flushing that stuff out, it does. And so the low energy levels could easily be from that process starting, and then obviously as you continue doing it, you'll start to see your energy levels come back. And that's another reason why people tend to they don't want to be on these types of diets or whatever, because they experience stuff that's weird or different, and they think, oh, that's bad, something's wrong here. And at the end of the day, it's just we don't understand. We don't understand our bodies. Everything that we've been taught in school about our bodies has been either a lie or half truth, and not necessarily always on purpose, by the educators, but the system itself is corrupt, and they want us to be unhealthy because the pharmaceutical companies and the medical industry make so much money, you know what I mean? So we have to educate ourselves. And so when something happens to me now that's bad or weird or whatever, and I'm doing something that I know should be good for me, I just break it down and I process what's going on in my body, and I try to figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
You guys are a lot smarter than you give yourself credit for. Like, you don't need a doctor to explain everything to you. We can figure this stuff out for ourselves, and that's what we've been doing. The last video I think me and John did about protein, I don't know if it was the last one, we literally cracked the foundation of, fitness and nutrition, because everybody's like protein, 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 but this man's gained like 15 pounds of muscle while fasting. So where's the protein? Like, what are you guys talking about? So you did all this, you saw these amazing results from changing your diet, and you went on vacation, you did your Tiffany thing, and so we're back at trying to kind of like get back in the swing of things.
Yes.
I don't remember if I like asked you about fasting, because I feel like you popped up one day. Right.
I was out of nowhere. Once again, I just commit. And so I was already like doing the raw, it wasn't like before where I was eating horribly. It was like for lunch, instead of packing my lunch, my raw vegan lunch, I would go to Subway and get a sandwich and eat the bread, which has gluten in it. Right. And I wanted to totally get back to raw vegan. And so my eating habits weren't as bad as they were the first time.
Yeah, okay.
But I jumped right in. I think I love the Healthy Alternative Facebook page. I don't always comment and stuff, but I always like reading it. So I was like, yo, I need some accountability. Like, I gotta have some accountability. And so after the first day, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make some videos and tell other people how this is going. And so check out the Facebook Healthy Alternative page if you wanna see those, like if you wanna see my day-to-day experience. But it was a lot better. Whoa. It was a lot better. My second day was kind of rough, but it was everything that I needed to reset. Honestly, you can't do a water fast and go back and eat Chinese food or even want to do dairy.
Yeah.
I think the weirdest thing was when I tried to break my fast, I had an apple, and I cut it up and it hurt so bad. It's almost like it was too sweet. And so I don't really know the true reason for that, but the rest of the day I did water. Went back to what I knew, and just sipped on some apple juice or whatever. And so, but I had a great experience the second time, and I jumped right back into being raw vegan and have been pretty consistent since.
Yeah, and I've noticed, I can't really put a time frame on it. It probably has been about a 2-month period of time where your skin, like I'll be on her Instagram or something and I'm like, man, she looks so childlike, just youthful, energetic, and her skin looks good. She looks younger, you know what I mean? And it's one of the things that I've noticed recently, and I'm sure other people have been probably commenting because it's really, really obvious. So your skin has obviously started going through a metamorphosis. Have you had to deal with the birth control pills for pain or anything? No.
So, one thing about that, so one of the things that changed after I did the water fast, because I did notice, at the time, I just recently bought a scale, but I'm not big on weight. And so I'm big on how I feel, how I look. I just kind of listen to my body. And if I wake up and I feel fat, ladies, I know that there's something going on, and I need to change the way I'm eating. But as raw vegan, while I'm not worried about the weight, I noticed I wasn't losing weight. And so I was just like, what is going on? So after I did the water fast, I did a little bit more research, and you can have too much fat on a raw vegan diet. Fat is nuts, and that's avocados and things like that. There's so much about being raw vegan that is, false, or they have these wrong ideas. Protein, I get more than enough protein eating raw vegan. I don't work out, but even if I did, just eating fruits and vegetables, you get all the protein you need, you get all the fat you need, you get all the carbohydrates you need, you get all the calories you need, but you can also get too much. And so there were reports of people that were raw vegan that were having heart attacks and having heart disease and stuff. And it's like, well, I'm never gonna go raw vegan because you can still be sick.
Right.
You take one little thing, you run with it. So I did some research, and I cut down my fats. And so there's a book called 80-10-10, the 80-10-10 diet. And I actually forgot the author, but it's a great book. It talks about how to balance being raw vegan so that you can keep up your energy levels, that you're not sluggish, you can lose weight. And it's not even losing weight, it's finding your optimal weight.
Right.
Your body will normalize and you will find the weight that you are supposed to be.
Right.
And my weight that I've stabilized at is about 143. Now, mind you, before, even before I went raw vegan, I was at like 170. So I've lost a significant amount of weight between being raw vegan, doing the water fast, and now cutting fats out. I also started a herbal cleanse, not Dr. Sebi's, but but I did start a herbal cleanse, which really helped as well. I dropped some pounds with that. So that is one thing that I think has made a major difference. I just cut down on the fats on the raw vegan. But so my menstrual cycles, I was telling Chris earlier that now I have an app that tells me when my menstrual cycle is gonna come, because I don't know. I don't know when it's coming. It just
They got an app for everything.
They do. It pops up out of nowhere, and I'm like, dang it! I didn't even know. You know, before it would be this whole ordeal where I had to rearrange my life events because of my menstrual cycle. But I noticed after the water fast, I still get a menstrual cycle, but it's instead of 4 days, it's just 3 days, and it still sneaks up on me. Like the third day, or the fourth day, I was like, what's happening? Like, it's almost like I'm like, where's my menstrual cycle at? Like, you know, I'm ready for you now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I noticed after the water fast, it got my menstrual cycle reduced to 1 day, and that could also be due to I'm eating healthier as a raw vegan, so I'm cutting the fats down. Hopefully next one will be 2 days, 1 day, none. Like, that's the goal. But you know, I'm happy with where I'm at now. I haven't been to the doctor or, you know, gotten my yearly exam, but next time I go, I want to get a sonogram, because I still have a very large cyst on my other ovary, or I did, that she didn't want to remove because one day I want to have babies.
Right.
And so I want to have a sonogram to see if it's still there. You know, like I really am really sold on all of this, and I believe that the endometriosis is healing, if not gone, because I don't have the symptoms.
Right, the symptoms are gone.
Exactly, yeah.
That's amazing. I don't get to really speak on menstrual cycles and stuff as the way I want to, because I'm not a woman, and a lot of women, they tend to get upset at me. Like when I sent her those videos, her response was kind of annoyed. She was definitely annoyed.
Like, you don't know my body?
Yeah,
you can't tell me what it is to have a menstrual cycle?
Exactly.
Like,
and it's kind of like, man, like, and I got that reaction from a couple of women that I tried to send that. I'm a very real person. I'm very straightforward. I'm like, look, you can get rid of your menstrual cycle, because it makes sense to me. It makes sense. Like, men don't bleed. You know what I mean? Like, so I understand women have different organs, and I get all that or whatever. But we also got to look at, well, what are some of the differences between what men do and what women do? Well, women wear a lot of beauty products, you know? So you've got a lot of reproductive problems that stem from beauty products, from tampons, from birth control pills. These are a lot of things that men don't do. You know, like, men do have reproductive issues, obviously, but I definitely see that women more often than not are having these issues on a large scale. And I'm like, there's something going on, you know? So we have to open up our minds. We have to first of all realize that the doctors don't necessarily always understand everything. Maybe not even ever at all. And we've got to start paying attention to our bodies and experimenting. It's okay. Like, you're not gonna die because you eat a raw vegan diet. What I will say is, me personally, I'm gonna be moving towards a fruit-based diet. And I think that fruit is our natural food. That's my opinion on it as of right now.
No, it is.
And you know, with fruit, like for example, this morning I had like some cucumber, some tomato, and some avocados, and I would consider those all fruits. I mean, I don't know how they're technically, you know, classified, but I would consider them all fruits. And I noticed my mouth felt amazing. It sounds weird, but like, you know, you wake up, you've got morning breath and stuff like that, and you know, it feels gooky, blah, blah, blah. And my mouth was like clean and it was fresh, and I'm like, man, is that from that fruit I ate this morning? Like, did it, you know what I mean? Because you're a dental hygienist, so you understand that the bacteria gets in there and it starts whatever, having babies and sex and stuff in your mouth, and it makes your mouth all bad and toxic.
You're right.
So I'm gonna be paying a little bit more attention to that and start eating like that in the morning and see if I can, notice a difference. But is there anything else that you want to talk about? I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of space.
Yeah. No, I mean, the biggest thing that I learned, honestly, from doing this was that being healthy is a mentality. It starts all up here. Whenever I give Chris a hard time about something healthy, it's because mentally I've been trained to believe something else. Mentally, I've been trained that I have to deal with these nasty, ugly menstrual cycles for the rest of my life, unless I have a baby, and then 9 months I don't have to worry about it. But then after that, and then until menopause, and then you gotta go through menopause, those symptoms and stuff. And so being healthy is mental, and our bodies are ready. They are amazing, creations. It's ready to work at optimal levels if we give it what it needs. And so often mentally we tell ourselves like, oh, I need my coffee. If I don't have my coffee, I can't think, I can't listen, I can't be, or I can never eat an all fruit diet. That's too much sugar. My diabetes are gonna go through the roof and all this other stuff. But I say that to say, just the fact that you or me or anybody is thinking about water fasting is half the battle. It's 90% of the battle is getting past that mental, roadblock. And if you can mentally get past that, then you're healthier. You're a healthy person. You've succeeded. If you take one day and you research glucose levels and you learn more about blood sugar, you're healthier. You're a better person, and you don't have to beat yourself up if you don't make your 20-day goal, or if you don't, accomplish some massive healthy, goal you've set. Being healthy is all up here, and it starts up here. And if you're not, mentally trying to change your thoughts and your habits, then what you try to do physically just isn't gonna work. It's not gonna succeed.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. I mean, it is mental, and I guess that's one of the reasons why it's been a little easier for me. I'm such a logical, mental thinker, and I love the truth. And and I'm like, man, I should be able to be healthy. I should be able to feel comfortable in my skin every day.
Yeah.
And when I started learning about all these healthy alternatives, I was like, let me try this stuff. Let's just try it. Let's see what happens. And it's working. So, and I'm sharing it with all my friends and family. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe we'll have Tiffany come back. We never know. If you guys like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe.
Okay.
And as always, the application of knowledge is power. And we will see you guys next time.